Hey all, and welcome to this week's CIOPCC Top 10 list. Now, for those of you who are paying attention, yesterday was Father's Day, so we're going to do a Top 10 Father's Day list. Now, these father action figures are going to be generally, the whole point is that they were fathers. It's like sort of their purpose and their plan. It's a major part of their character. Sometimes they were good dads, sometimes they were bad dads, but they were always dads. And they weren't father figures, they were fathers. So, of course, we have Homer Simpson. Oh, these are also not in any order. I'm going to do these in a way that I can use to walk around. I have lots of Homers. They, of course, did lots of Homers, including the one down here, and the tutu. These are all Playmates. But really, I'm going to use, for my first in the number top 10 here, the original Homer that was done based on the Tracy Ullman shorts. This is a great set. They only did a few of these. They were not as appreciated as they should have been at the time, that's for sure. Now, next up, we're going to come down around this way and talk about a dad who, well, let's kind of be honest, he was not a great dad, but kind of the huge shock of the whole thing is that he was a dad. And that's Darth Vader. This is, of course, a Hot Toys version with a couple of the Hot Toys stormtroopers on either side. But that classic line where he tells Luke that he's his dad has gone down in history. So you can't really ignore him when you're talking about a top 10 list of dads. Another cartoon dad, of which there are plenty, is Hank Hill. I'm putting him on my top 10 list. We didn't get anything but this one action figure. Oh, we got a few other things. Like if you look over here, I have a Hank Hill plush as well. But it's really the Hank Hill action figure that we're going to focus on. Came with the rest of them, including Bobby. That boy ain't right. And Luann, who we brought in. And so Hank, he was always about being a dad and a husband, being a family man. All of the episodes really focused on it heavily. So let's see, that's 3 of my top 10. Right next to him is another cartoon dad, Dr. Rusty Venture. Now, the whole show is actually called The Venture Brothers, and it was about his 2 sons. So really, his whole purpose was the fact that he was their dad. And what a terrible dad he really was. Let's face it. Now, not all the dads on my list are terrible dads. Sure, Vader and Rusty might not have been so good. But you got to admit, Rick Grimes tried. So here we have Rick in 6-scale form from The Walking Dead. Here's a version of him from season 1 when he's still wearing his police uniform on the show. And I got to tell you, Rick is easily going to be on my list. He was a good dad, and he did his best throughout the show. Now, another great dad, at least by 1960s standards, was Dr. John Robinson. And while it was a science fiction show, we're going to zoom in up here. While it was a science fiction show, Dr. John Robinson was definitely all about being a dad. The entire show, all of the many of the episodes focused on him being a dad and how he treated his kids and how he taught them about the world. So he's definitely a science fiction dad. Another science fiction dad that should not be ignored is Benjamin Sisko. Exo-6 is doing these fantastic 6-scale figures of various Star Trek properties. This is the first of their Deep Space Nine that they've done so far. And he is not only an excellent figure, but he was an excellent dad, and he was the only Star Trek captain to be a really excellent dad. Now going back to, well, not so great dads, but at least the entire reason they were in the film was that they were the dad. We have the villain Wenwu from ShangChi. And yeah, here he is with his son. He was a truly awful dad. Let's face it. Now, by the end of the movie, you get some of an understanding. Sure, they make him a little bit less of an awful person by the end. But he's still not going to win any Father of the Year awards. At least Not from what I can tell. That leaves us with two more. One of those dads didn't last past the first season of the show, and that would be good old Ned. Here he is, one of his sons, daughters, another son. But Ned was really the patriarch of the family, and that first season people thought he was going to be the key to the entire Game of Thrones show. Goes to show you how confused people get when it's the white man. And that didn't turn out to be the case. The last dad on my top 10 dad action figure list is going to be one that is appropriate with Indiana Jones' new film coming out, and that's Dr. Jones Sr. Remember, really Last Crusade was entirely about the relationship between Indy and his dad. This is the Sideshow figure and the Sideshow Indy. Threw in the sidecar and motorcycle, recreating that classic scene. So there's my top 10 dads. Who are your top 10 dads? Let me know, and have a good week.